we get into it, I do want to share a few of these things too. That just like we was talking about fishing lures. One of the things we was able to create is just like a kid's book, and so we use technology today, and we come up with a whole design idea of what we wanted the book to do. And now we go to families and they say, hey, what do you do? Well, sometimes I create little small booklets. And so it goes in here. You can look at it after church, and it's got little generated picture of our family. And it talks about the Miller family and how we lost our mother inside of her backpack. Yeah, she's always losing stuff. And so we lost Mom inside of her backpack, and the kids had to go inside to rescue her. So if you're reading how that story goes, you can get that free on our website, or you can just look at that too. And so what we do is you translate that into Serbian, and then you have stuff, and you make families, and you make relationships. Like, hey, take that for your kids. You know, you give stuff away. Book fairs, they have book fairs, and so we create content that allows us to go to the book fair and be there to have conversations with people, you know. And one of the things we take to the book fair, we're hoping to, is this one. This, thanks to churches like yours, has allowed us to help create and put together the very first King James equivalent Bible in the Serbian language. And so we're thankful for that. And we take this to the farmers market. You guys don't remember the old days. How many remember old farmers markets? Okay, we got a couple of you. Okay, you guys still have one. Okay, because you're like natural people, aren't you? Yeah, okay. Skipped a generation on me, I think, you know. I'm the guy that's like, can we go to McDonald's? And she's like, if you can get avocado on your burger, yes. So, anyways, farmers markets, yes, they're still alive and thriving in Oklahoma, I guess. But we take this, and we put it on our table, and we go out, and people come, and sometimes we'll take some 3D printed stuff, and we put it out there. It's all for free, and it causes conversations. The little kids come up, and they say, hey, what's that? And those are just little NFC tags that have the gospel in Serbian. And we tell them, oh, it's a digital video card. Ooh, cool, right? So they all have phones. Even the little gypsy kids have phones. And they'll take these little digital, right? It's what do you call fad? Or a thing like that? What? It's a fad? A trend? It's another word too. But yeah, it's like, it's probably not going to last forever. But right now, it's like, people are like, oh, cool, like technology, you know? And so we can give that to the people, and they scan them, and they watch the gospel video in Serbian. If I was to hand them a piece of paper and say, here, it's scary. No, you're a crazy person, right? But you give them little gospel lizards with the gospel on it, and they're like, oh, that's cool, man. I was like, I don't care. Take one and watch the video. You know, that's my thought. So yeah, so I'll make sure all the little kids, you guys make sure you get a little lizard, okay? All right, after church, you can have one. But don't eat it. Okay, don't eat it. Okay, promise? Okay, good. All right. And then there's things like this. It's a cable. You wrap your cables around. You know, you wrap your cable up and then keep them tight so they're not like, going everywhere in the bottom of the sea. And then on the bottom of it, it has a gospel track. Right? So there's just so many ideas that you can do. A 3D printer like that can cost less than $300. And you have an endless supply of junk that you can make and put the gospel on it, you know. And so there's lots of things that we try to do with that. But that's been a blessing. It's been good. Here's just so you know, these are the stickers. These are NFC tags. And those things just go. You stick them to whatever you want. Sometimes I put them inside people's Bible and put our website on it, put our prayer card, so you can pray for us right there on that sticker, you know. And I don't know, I'm kind of strange. Don't judge me. But we're going to have fun tonight, and we're going to be in the Bible in the book of Matthew. We're going to start in Matthew 24, actually. Matthew 24. And now I will say one of the reasons why we started doing this, this is not connected to the message, is because people are generally a little bit paranoid in Serbia. Opa, that was me. I was up this morning. Another side note. We'll get to that side note in a second. But this side note I want to get to. There used to be old timers good ones back in the day who maybe were ex-military or something, and they would go overseas and they would fill in for missionaries when the missionaries were doing furlough, right? And they would take over and say, hey, we got you covered. You go do your thing and come back to Serbia, or wherever, China, Japan. But a lot of those guys went on to meet their king. And there's not people really that I've seen, maybe you've met some, if you did, let me know, fill in their shoes. And because of that, we tried for a year and a half to try to find somebody to fill in for us in Serbia. And I sought for a man among them, and I found none. So that's why we had to have a short furlough, 4 months, so we can get back. But in the meantime, we've had a couple guys since that go over for a short time. But just like this morning, I woke up at 4 a.m. to get ready, and I live streamed into our church. I preached for them at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. our time is noon their time. So I preached for them at 5 a.m. and then get ready for regular church, for Sunday school to teach, and then the next service to teach, and go out with the pastor for lunch, and then hook up the camper, travel an hour and a half, take a 30-minute nap in your parking lot, and we're ready to go, without any extra medication. This is just natural, okay? So if I'm a little bit strange today, it's you know why, all right? But all jokes aside, and there's such a need for missions relief, and it's my personal opinion, if you know of some dude who is technologically savvy, who works online, there's a lot of people doing that nowadays, and I think it may just be God's way of changing the theme, where it used to be military men going that still have an income, can go work. It may be people that work online for Cisco or something, and they go work overseas because they can work wherever they want and fill in for a missionary. That may be the thing. So put the word out there, and if you know of anybody, we're 2 years till our next furlough, so we're going to try to start today, trying to find someone, because it aren't no fun to preach on TV, and it ain't no fun for them to watch a preacher on TV either, It's good to have someone in person. So pray for that. Pray for them. I think they're doing good. I even heard rumors that they're even growing a little bit here and there. So another Hungarian lady started coming to church, I think, from what it sounded like. So we're excited to get back and to tear into it. But before we get into the message, I do want to go back to that second side note here. One of the people that reminds me most of Serbia is a man named Nicodemus. And Nicodemus came to Jesus by night, I believe, because he was afraid to maybe lose his job, maybe lose his family, lose his children, I don't know what. But he came to Jesus by night, and before he came to Jesus by night, he was probably putting his ear up to the wall. He would be listening to maybe a message through the trees or in this house as he walks down the street. Something was gathering his attention, and that eventually that attention grew enough where he said, I have the courage to go to Jesus myself, right? So there was this whole process of Nicodemus following Jesus before he ever went to Jesus, you see? So, it's one of the reasons why we try to be present on social media, because Serbians and people over there, they will follow and listen to our message long before they'll ever seem to be interested. So if you ask why we do what we do, it's because we got a lot of Nicodemuses who, when you talk to them in the taxi, and they say, "Šta radiš, bre?" And I go, "Daklasi, where are you from? What do you do?" And I say, I am neighbor of Russia. They say, "You're neighbor of Russia." Are you Ukraine? I say, "No." Romania? No. Belarus? No. I say, "I'm American. Alaska, Russia, we're neighbors." And they get a good giggle out of it. And they ask me what I do, and I tell them. And most of the times, they don't ask any questions after that. But I do believe there are people interested. They just need time before they'll be willing to sit down with a cup of coffee. And so pray for them, and pray for your neighbors and friends who may at this time seem not interested. But when they go home at night and they think about it, there's a very good chance that God's working on their heart. And they have to brush that away, say, "No, he's not the Messiah. No, he's not the one. No, this can't be true." and they go about their day. But eventually, I believe, through the process of time and through one plastic lizard at a time, I believe God's going to open their heart, and they'll say, listen, I want to talk to you. I said, let's go, you know. But besides that, we're going to talk about conspiracy theories. Completely different subject matter, right? We're not really going to talk too much about conspiracy theories, although they are awful fun. Do you anybody like a good conspiracy theory? She's like, yes, pick me. I like some. It's like, anybody got a new one? Is there a new one out there? We got Mark Zuckerberg, the lizard man, right? Have you heard of that one? What else is there? Any good fresh ones out there, you know? Nobody? Okay. What is it? They're all the same. All the same. All the same. Yeah, she's right. You know, the moon is a triangle. You know, you've heard that one. I just made that one up. But you hear about so much darkness. Have you ever heard of a positive conspiracy theory? What? It's no fun, you know? But all the conspiracy theories you hear are always dark and negative. The world's ending, right? It's like doom and gloom. We're all going to die, and the government's going to take over and take our children to be robots in a factory. You know, you're going to take their hair out so the robots have fingers to use or something. I don't know what happens, but I'm telling you, conspiracy theories. But when I get to Serbia, and one of the things they talk about is they got a lot of conspiracy theories. And when you've been a country that's been bombed, been plundered, been manipulated, been sanctioned like crazy, there's stories about guys crossing the border to get a 1 liter of Coca-Cola that they dumped out or they drank it and they filled it with gasoline or diesel so they could bring it back across the border to put it in their tractor to farm their crops, right? It's like that is what sanctions does to a country. And it's not the governments that suffer so much, it's the people that do. And so there's been a lot of earthquakes. There's been like a lot of rainy type fog stuff, and they say that it's the EU that's cloud seeding, that punishing Serbia, right? They're punishing Serbia, and they never used to have ticks, or they never used to have this type of weed, the allergy weed. But those people are flying over, dropping stuff out on Serbia to cause harm. Now, it could be true. It seems a little far-fetched to me. It could be true to Serbia. I know, well, I heard something about, I'm not saying, probably half of you believe this too, and I probably do, but you have the ticks nowadays. You've heard of this one. Is it true? She's like, it's true. Don't mess with that, the ticks they bite you and you can't eat meat, right? What's it called? The salvagel, alpha-gal. Yeah, crazy stuff. You heard of this stuff? Yeah, wild. And as you look at it, if you're not careful, here's what I want to get to today. If you're not careful in this world, I go to Serbia, man, they talk about all sorts of things, and I can get so paranoid and scared to death that my mind just starts to go. And I go back to the Bible. But you know what the Bible does? It makes it worse. Have you ever read Matthew 24? It's like conspiracy theories ain't got nothing on the Bible. Like check some of this out. We go through Matthew chapter 24, and again, Matthew 24 is just a few chapters away from the end. Like here pretty soon, Jesus is going to die, and in Matthew 28, he's already risen. Okay? And so he says, go ye therefore into all the world. That's the Great Commission in Matthew 28. But Matthew 24, he's still alive, and he's still giving his message to his men who's going to carry this message, and he's giving them kind of a warning of the future. Like, boys, it ain't going to be pretty. You're going to have to hang in there. That's what he said if Jesus was a southern guy. And he says in Matthew 24, and Jesus went out and departed to the temple, and his disciples came to him and began to ask questions. Verse 3, he sat upon the Mount Olives, and they came unto him privately, telling him, what will these things be? Tell us, what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Yeah, this is where it gets real quick. Many shall come in my name. He talks about deceive many. He talks about many false prophets. Verse 6, wars, rumors of wars. These things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines, COVID-19, earthquakes, right? Swine flu. What's this new one they got coming out here from China? You don't watch the news. Come on now. No, I guess there's another type of COVID-19. You know what it is? You guys are good. Yeah, I like that. I don't even know what it is either, honestly, brother. But they said there's some kind of new COVID-19 thing. The whole boat, there was a boat in the ocean that got it. Right? You've heard that thing? What was it? Someone Google it. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Phone's down in church, okay? And earthquakes, diverse places. These are the beginning of sorrows, right? And then they're going to deliver you Christians up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Now, one of the things that I struggle with in Serbia is they don't like what I do, therefore they don't like me. And so when they ask me and they say, šta radiš? Because we're having a good time. We're we might go play around a pickleball or something, or whatever we're doing, and you're a good guy. I like you. Nice beard, good accent. You're funny. It's good. I like you. And so we kind of bond, right? And he's like, so tell me, what do you do for work? Smart guy, And I know when I tell them what I do, probably the last time I see this guy, I hate that because I want to have friends. I want to be liked. But then when I say I'm a Bible teacher, I teach the Bible. I'm a Baptist preacher. Now, again, this is not, they don't hate me. They just don't like it. And that already feels bad. Imagine if they hated me. That's a totally different thing. I already feel like I don't want to stand up for Jesus just because they don't like me. But imagine the day comes when they hate you for what you believe. Your work, the thought of getting fired because of what you believe. So, and then verse 11 talks about many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many, because the iniquity shall abound. We got any public schoolers in here? Got some public schoolers? Yeah? I was public schooled. All, Semper Fi, I was public school, man. It was wild back in my public school. I can't imagine what you little guys go through. Crazy, mama. You heard some probably crazy stories, haven't you? Probably selling kittens in lockers, aren't they? You know what? They probably do. Just crazy stuff that happens. But that's just today. What's going to happen in 10 years? What's going to happen when your kids are going to school? Not your kids, but your kids' kids and your grandkids. That's rough. But it says here, iniquity shall abound. What does that mean? We're hoping that Donald Trump does a miracle and makes America religious again, But more likely, it's not going to happen. It's going to get worse. And as much as I would love for things to get better, my conspiracy book here says it's going to get bad. It's going to get real bad. But I don't want to paint doom and gloom. I want to give you something good here. Help me paint this picture here. But iniquity shall flourish, shall abound. How wild is that going to be? And the love of many shall wax cold. And we come down to verse 17. And he says this, let him which is on the housetop, kind of like a porch, don't even go inside your house to get your stuff. Okay, you guys know what a tornado is? You know what a tornado is? You ever been in a tornado? You ever been in one tornado? No, you. Have you been in a tornado? You seen a tornado? They're scary, aren't they? Yeah, they're rough. You don't like them, do you? I do not like tornadoes. No, I do not. You do? You kind of like them? Yeah, you would. You're a boy. Boys are a little weird. I got 3 of them. Yeah. It's good weird, though. But I'm telling you, tornadoes, when you see a tornado coming, your husband's like, you go down, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to get my computer. You know? You do, don't you? Yeah. But it's going to get so bad, it's not even worth it. You just leave it. Like nothing is worth it, we're leaving. Let's go. That's what it looks like. He's not even going to come down and get stuff out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to get his clothes. Dude, it's on. And look, woe unto them that are with child, to them that give suck in those days. Pray that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever will be. Brother Matt, you're a missionary. Talk about missions, right? That's the thought. Well, I'm going to talk about this today. Investment opportunity. An investment opportunity. Now, when I look at an investment, you think about something that you can gain in, where you buy land, and then you can sell it, create gain. But if we look at this and all the conspiracy theories and the things that Jesus taught, and you look at the world around us, you know, the American dollar, it may go gone. We may be living on the EU money. We may go into a cryptocurrency that's completely controlled by the government, right? It may get so crazy that AI takes all of our jobs, and now we're given a stipend by the government. You know, you sit down and think about it, it could get wild. God's never guaranteed us to have peace and safety in this world. He's promised He'd be with us, but not. So where am I getting at? When you invest your life and you invest in something, I want something, when I see my kids, that's probably the biggest thing that I have. I have a 3D printer, but that's more important. But I don't know how long I'm going to be, brother, here. I was in a Serbian hospital because of a heart condition, and I caught because of Serbia, I believe. I was in the hospital for a week because of a thing called myocarditis. I call it mild carditis, but it's myocarditis. And I don't know how much longer I've got. I really don't, and neither do you. But these kids are going to live in this world. And when I look at the future of public school, when I look at the future of this world, it is scary. There's places that's even like, you know, in these verses where it says, woe be unto them that are with child, it's like, it's getting close. Let's not even have babies. It's so dark. Why bring a child into this world? There's been people and Christians say that. And sometimes hard to blame them. Depends on where you come from. But what can I do? What can I invest in that my children will benefit from? Not just them, but my children's children. And my children's children's children. Because again, the government may come and they may take my land for a data center. Right? The financial market, I may save a bunch of money, give it to my first son, and then he spends it all on crazy stuff, and there's nothing for my grandkids. You can't bank on tomorrow, but there is something you can bank on. Okay? And we're going to give that to you right now. And this is the whole point of the go to Matthew chapter 16. We'll spend the rest of the time there. Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16. I'm a missionary today because I'm investing in tomorrow. I'm a missionary today because I want to invest in the lives of the future. I don't know what's going to happen to my kids in the future, or their great-grandkids, or your great-grandkids. But here's what we do know. Jesus taught in Matthew chapter 16. Look down through here. And he says to Peter, verse 13, when Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that the Son of Man am? And they said, some say that you're John the Baptist, some say Elijah, some others say Jeremiah, or one of those prophets. He said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, not a Christ, but the Christ, the Son of the living God, the one we've been looking for. Jesus answered and said, and blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon, I believe Jesus said, this rock, me, Jesus said, I will build my church. Now, why is that important? Because every institution we have alive today is built by some man. Governments come, governments go. I got to be here in America for the 250th year anniversary. And I didn't know this, brother, but America has one of the longest standing documents for its organization, the Constitution. I was like, that can't be true. I started looking it up. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. You talk about Germany. Nope, they reformatted. It's like driving a car. You drive a car for 100,000 miles, it's like, this is not going to work no more. Sell it, buy a new car. But America, 100,000 miles, says, let's just change the oil and go another 100,000 miles. That's the difference. These other countries are saying, hey, this hasn't been working. We got to do something different. Serbia, I think it was in the 90s, pretty recently, that they said, hey, this isn't working for us. Let's change our program. But America has been going after it. But you know what's not promised? Another 5 years. We think our Constitution is undefeatable. All it takes is a few votes, and they could change the whole thing. Your gun rights, kid rights, the right to homeschool. It's not really legal in Serbia to homeschool. It's not really legal in Serbia to have a midwife. So I was my wife's midwife. I was. Out in the backwoods of Serbia, we gave birth to our little baby girl, Amelia. Well, we had a midwife come, but it wasn't really legal to have her. We had to make a choice. Do we obey the government, or do we follow what God wants us to do? And we made our choice. But I'm telling you, there may come a day when the government does not allow you to do the things that you think you want to do. What are you going to do? But all these things are built upon a man, and they're coming and going. And some would say that America is due for a crash, for a constitutional crisis. But I hope that doesn't happen. But eventually it seems like it's going to happen, biblically speaking. But Lord willing, we can keep this plane from crashing as long as we can. Because I tell you what, I don't believe there's been any other good that's done so much good than America has for the world. I'm telling you that I get, as American, can go to these countries and pop up my passport. That's a blessing. They say, come right in. I can stay in Serbia. You can come to Serbia for 3 months and stay without any pre-order. Some countries, you have to call ahead and say, hey, I want to come to your country for a month. And then you have to get approved. But with an American passport, you say to your wife, yeah, let's go to Serbia. Like, all right, pack your clothes. You get a plane, you fly to Serbia, walk right in, show them your passport. They say, welcome. Wild. In Russia, they have to leave. Our Russian friends, they have to leave Serbia every month. Every month, they have to travel across the border and then refill out their paperwork and come back. As an American, I get 3 months. Okay? So it's a privilege that God has given us. But even America is designed and operated by man. What's so special here is he says that I will build my church. So the first thing I want to say here is, and we're going to not spend too much time, we can fellowship afterwards and I can print you some fun stuff, is investment opportunity. If you're looking for something to invest in that's going to benefit your children and your children's children and your children's children, as long as the Lord tarries. Do you know what that is? That's his church. It may not seem like a light. You might come in here and it's like, oh, there's just a couple of us tonight on a Sunday night. There was more here this morning, but there's just us here tonight. We're just here plodding along, doing our thing here in Ponca City. I'm telling you what, it's powerful that we can team up, do what we do, reach the kids. I'm sure you probably had a VBS you did, and that was crazy, right? And you got all this stuff going on, and little by little, God established something, Christ established something that says, I'm going to build something to not fix the world, but help mankind through the world. In every culture, in every generation, I want to make sure that everyone has access to a local church that helps each other through the hard times. Because there may come a day in America when we can't meet above ground. Why do I say that? Well, because in Serbia, it was illegal for us to meet together as a church until we did the right paperwork. So you can't just decide to get together and have some kind of club. No, you have so many people, they can call that a threat, like a coup, right? And so you have to get permission to have so many people together. So the first thing that we did is we established an NGO, because an NGO is just a non-government organization, and we have to state what we're going to do, and they give us permission to meet. And that's how we began to grow. And then once we began to grow, we said, hey, God didn't come to establish NGOs. Let's organize a church. So we have to have a couple Serbian people in the country to say, we want this. So they began to come to our church, and they said, we want this. And say, well, let's start the paperwork. Could we meet underground? Absolutely. But you know what I want? I want to be on Google. I want to be on the maps. So when someone looks for a Baptist church, they say, oh, there's one right there. I want to be legal. I want to be able to go pass out tracts and say, this is our church. You should come. And by being underground, you can't do that. There's always like, being sneaky. I don't live my life that way. So we did. And as of 5 months ago, the Lord has allowed us to register the very first independent Baptist church in the country of Serbia. Since, I don't know, maybe, Bogomils, I don't know. There's Southern Baptists there, and they're all basically, if you know, all the Calvinism stuff, so they have a lot of Southern Baptists there. But as far as independent Baptist church, this is it. I'm telling you, I'm thanking the Lord that we can help create communities that God said, this is what I want to start. He could have came to start a kingdom, right? Like school, we have the USA, we have Greece, we have USSR. Jesus could have said, I'm going to start my kingdom here. This is going to be the Jesus Christonians. He could have called them. He said, no, that's not good enough. What's going to be better than that? What's going to last and have a better longevity than the Roman Empire? Serbia was ruled by the Muslims, the Ottoman Turks, for 400 years. Who's your first son? That's your first son? This one? And yours? That's your first son? If you lived in Serbia in those days, the Muslim would come by and they would take him. They would take him against your will by the point of the sword, and they would take him to Turkey to be raised as a soldier. What that does is that endows your heart to say, let's not fight against, because one of those soldiers could be my son, right? And I'm not even going to talk about what happens on your wedding day. So, 400 years of that, and guess what happened? The kingdom crashed. The Ottoman Empire died. And so Jesus says, I could create an empire, I could create something, but I'm going to create something that has more power, more longevity than any one of these things. I'm going to create my church. I'm telling you, I have not given my life to a cause. We've given our life to the cause. And you are part of his cause. So when you come to church on a Sunday night, you're not just coming to, we're going to go to church. You are empowering and helping the thing that Jesus Christ says is the most powerful institution on the face of the earth. But what about its longevity? Look at here. I know you guys know this. Just go with me for a second. Look at this. It says, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Now, if you haven't met me, I'm a little bit extra sometimes, okay? I'm trying to calm down. I'm not taking medications. I probably should take some medications, but for right now, I'm not. But if you look at the gate, I've never seen a gate with feet. You ever seen a gate with feet? Like, you ever seen a gate walk? You ever seen a gate that's like, doop, 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 doop? You never have you? Gates usually stay where you put them, right? So when we talk about prevailing, it's not that the gates of hell are coming to take over the church and try to get it, is it? No, you have a gate there. You don't watch me push this piano. I'll push this piano right off of here. Say, no, don't do it. Say, no, Daddy, don't do it. But if you pushed on something, you could prevail. If you think I could push this wall down, do you think I could? You don't think you're Daddy Mammalia? Can I? No. You don't think I'm that tough? Wow. But you know what we can do as Christians together? He says this, that the gates of hell shall not prevail against what you're doing, what we're doing in Serbia. was a little bit nervous when we first went over because, hey, you don't know what's going on. But it's like as you get used to it, you start getting more boldness. I'm telling you, I said we started doing a Bible because now that you guys have helped us get a Bible, we promote that on our social medias. It says, hey, if you want to read the Bible, the rest of the world is Bible. If you want to read the Bible, the rest of the world has been reading, click here. And we'll deliver it to your doorstep. Cool. So sometimes we get orders, and sometimes I deliver them in person. So we're going to go to Bosnia, which is the neighboring country. And I said, I'm going to Bosnia. We're going to go do a Bible market in Bosnia. Our song leader, which is, guess the nationality? Mexican. Yeah. And he doesn't know Russian, but we're singing songs in Russian on our board up here. I'm not even lying. Am I? Okay. And so we're singing songs in Russian. He doesn't know Russian, but he's song leading, and he's trying to follow along in Russian, you know. I always try to, one of my favorite things to do is try to speak Russian with a Mexican accent. I'm going to try it, okay? First I got to say it in Russian. Ibo tak vajlu bir Bog mir. Ibo tak vajlu bir Bog mir. How did I do? No, sina svevo idina rodnava. Okay, that's bad. But that's him. And he says to me, Brother Miller, I want to go with you. And then the Russian guy who doesn't speak Spanish or English, he says, shows me his phone, I want to go with you. So I've got a Mexican bodyguard and a Russian bodyguard as we go across the border into Bosnia. And we get to that border, I'm telling you, we get to the border, we got this box of Bibles with us, and the guy says, show us your passports, and we put them up there, and I'm all like, you got to be very stoic, you know. America, we judge people on their niceness, right? It's like, oh, you're nice. Oh, she was nice. Oh, that lady was nice. You go get a coffee. Oh, she was nice. She was not nice, you know? That's what we do. But in Serbia, it's like tough. Like even the ladies are like scary, tough, you know? Grandma Gertrude ain't got nothing on these ladies. And so, but that's just how they like, oh, I can trust you. You're tough. It's good. And that's how they survived. You think about it. That's how they've kept their identity. From the Muslims and everything else, they've kept that because of their toughness. And so we go across the border, and he says, passports. I say, I've got a red one, a blue one, and a green one. Hand it to them. He says, what are you doing? He says, we're getting Bibles to Piazza, Sarajevo. He said, he just shook his head. He said something else. I don't know what he said. But he gave it back to us, and we entered into Bosnia with a Mexican. Sounds like a joke. Mexican, American, and a Russian go into Bosnia with a box of Bibles. But it's real. And I'm telling you that when I look at the church, if we're not careful, we can get into a place where we try to survive. Try to survive. And I think some churches do that. And it gets depressing, and it's hard. I know probably sometimes you've been there. Like, we're just trying to hang in there, Lord, help us. Right? Sometimes it's a financial stress. Sometimes it's a physical. Maybe you've tried knocking on all those doors, and it's like, well, Lord, we've done it all. Nobody wants it. And so you kind of feel like you're there. But what he says is the gates of hell shall not prevail against it, which has the concept of the church going up to the gates of hell. And like, you know, hey, guys, come on. The church comes up and pushes on the gates of hell. And they're not strong enough. We talked about tornadoes. I know you like tornadoes. But I've used to work around steel buildings, and they have these solid steel things. But if God says it's time for that steel building to go down, one tornado will not stop a steel building. And it'll twist that steel, and the winds of God, the steel shall not prevail against the winds of God, pushing upon it. You think about the church, being part of the church, being part of what God is doing is powerful. Being part of your team together. And as you go to Oklahoma City, you meet those brothers and sisters. And Brother Landy, that crazy guy, comes here. Tell him I said that. He comes here. He's still in Sri Lanka, isn't he? Wild guy. I'm telling you, as we all do this together and the power that we have in unity going forward, Christ says nothing can stop that. Not the worst of the worst can prevail against the movement of his church. I just want to come here today to tell you I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for what God's done. I'm thankful for what God's let me be a part of. And I say it is no waste of investment to give my life to Serbia as a missionary. Because for these kids, for those kids, and there's children, there's nothing that I can do, nothing I can put my life in that's going to live beyond me that's so powerful. So if you're looking for an investment opportunity for your time, for your treasure, for your future, I present to you the local church. I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I come to you from Serbia, where there's a gate of hell, and I want to tell you, I've went up against it, and I've pushed on it, and it's loose. And I come back, and we're going to go back, and we're going to push on it some more, because God's not called us to just stand, but to attack. And I think that's what this passage is getting at. The gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And you look at the context of who he's writing to, again, his disciples are not just going to maintain the religiosity of what Jesus is teaching. Jesus did not say that, you guys, you just come to the temple here and you just have a good time. And when people come by, you say, would you like to come to church? And if they're not interested, just say, that's fine, that's fine. Here's a cookie, you know. That's not what Jesus did with the disciples, did he? He gave them strength, he gave them power, and he sent them out. There's even stories, I don't know if they're accurate or not, but some are, you know, they say that John boiled in oil, another guy's crucified upside down, and these guys died attacking the gates of hell. I'm so thankful to be on their team. And so as we go forward in missions in our church, I'm thankful to be with churches like, I remember getting to be here last time, and we went to, I don't know how many different of your guys' houses. I don't know if you went to your house back, yeah, right, you went to your house, it was a great time. And we're back here, we just want to say thank you that we get to be on your team, and I'm so thankful that God has given us. He could have given us a kingdom. He said, not yet. He said, if you just think about Just think it, before time, God sits on his throne. And he maybe sits down and he's thinking. Because God thinks, okay? And he's thinking. He's like, I want to give people something that it may not change their culture. It may not give them a prosperous life. It may not fix all their problems. But I want to give them something that's going to help them continue through all ages, through all times, through all cultures. Be able to help deal with kids that are going through public school. Help deal with somebody. I met a guy in a church who his wife was one of the greatest singers in the church. And now she's losing her mind. And they don't know what to do. But she's still got her church family. She doesn't know who they are. But they put her arms around her. And they're loving her through this time. I'm telling you, this world is dark and hurtful. Yes, today, a little lady, she comes in on one of those little knee strollers, you know. I always call it the knee stroller. And I hear her talk to this other guy. And she looks and she's, I was talking to my sister, I think it's sister or something, and he said, Nancy, I don't know what her name was, said, you're just so blessed to have a church like that. Your pastor hasn't missed one of your surgeries. And I said, I know. I didn't think about that, but I am blessed. You know? And it was like, oh, it's cool. I get to see it in real life. Like God's purposeful, powerful thing going through the difficulties. Kids grow up. They turn into teenagers. And then lizard people for a short time. And then back into humans. You don't think so? No? Amen. Okay. But you know what helps kids go through that? Having a church. It's going to get tough. You don't feel like coming. People leave. People come. It gets difficult. Your heart gets torn. Things change. Last time I was here, there's a different crazy pastor. I miss that guy. But things change. But guess what continues? His church. And the joy that God has designed for his church to have through every culture. When I get back to Serbia, I look forward to picking on them, joking with them, spending time together with them. That's what he's developed. And I just want to say, I'll shut it down. But we're just thankful for you guys. Just keep at it. Stay with it. Stay encouraged. God's got a good thing here for you, right? And if you're ever passing through Serbia, stop in and say hi. All right? Let's all stand and we'll be dismissed.